Way back in the spring of 2004, I saw this 72 911T on eBay. Of all places, it was out of Detroit, Michigan. I called the gentleman who had it advertised. And after a brief conversation where he assured me the car was as original as they get, I bought it. I think at the time I paid $42,000 for it. Everybody told me I was crazy. This was the first long hood 911 I purchased because I just love original cars and didn't want to inherit somebody else's problem with a restored, quote restored, beater. When I got this car, took it to my local mechanic who did an engine out service and reseal, put stainless steel heat exchangers on it and a new muffler. You know, when the cars sit, the exhaust will tend to rot from the condensation getting in there. And that was all we did to it. I called the original owner, a gentleman named Ken Merkel out of Detroit, when I found his number on all the paperwork. And Ken explained to me that he bought the car new at Wood Imports, and the only reason he bought this 911 was because his 69 912 had been stolen. When he got the insurance money, he wanted a new 911, so went to Wood Imports, and lo and behold, the 72T was here. It has the 911S appearance package. It has air conditioning, factory installed, on the window sticker. It's got the Fuchs wheels, a 5-speed. Still has the original window sticker. It was radio prepped, which means it had the speakers and the antenna, but no actual radio. So 2 days later, Ken Merkel dropped it off at the stereo shop and had this Craig stereo put in it, which at the time in 1972 was $185, which was serious money for a AM/FM cassette back then. Ken would use the cars. He'd get with his group of buddies, and they would go on week-long vacations in their cars with their wives, and brought it up to Canada and northern Michigan. And then, you know, a year later, they didn't drive it as much. A year later, they didn't drive it as much. A year later, they didn't drive it much after that. And after 1975, very few miles were put on the car. Ken sold it to a gentleman that then turned around and flipped it to a dealer, and I bought it. Paint's all original with the exception of the hood. The gentleman that bought it off of Ken repainted it to cover up the rock chips. Other than that, all the rest of the paint is original. It is as nice of an original car as you'll ever see. The interior's fantastic. The exterior's unbelievable. The bottom of the car still all original. Never touched since they Z-barred it at Wood Imports. What a car. I kept this car for 5 or 6 years and had one of my good friends, Gary Dixon, who, another original car nut, out of Seattle, call me and talk to me about it for months and months and months, and finally Gary talked me into selling it to him. So I sold it to Gary, who then would go in halves with his best friend Freebert, and then Freebert ended up owning the car. And then years later I went up to Seattle and was talking with Freebert and ended up buying the car back, where I sold it to a doctor in Alaska who had it not even the whole season, put it away for the winter, realized he couldn't really drive it up there, and decided he was done with Alaska and moving, and sold me back the car. I got the car back here to North Carolina. My radiologist wanted a vintage Porsche. So I sold it to my radiologist, who kept it for a year or so, and bought it back from him. Another one of my close friends, Steve, wanted a phenomenal original 911. So I sold it to Steve. That got Steve the bug, and we ended up getting it back after Steve just incredibly just rubbed on the car and maintained it. Took it to the Porsche Classic Center, had it inspected for its certificate, where the car came back all matching numbers, and anything they had on that list during the inspection was attended to. And so everything on this car works as it should. The air conditioning I just had charged. It blows cold today, but this is 1972 air conditioning. And with these red hose, braided hoses, they tend to not hold up as well as new hoses. But since the red factory hoses have been NLA for decades, we'll just charge it every once in a while. Under Steve's ownership, he replaced the shifter bushings, did a lot of regular little services to it, but we continued to just document the car, document. Between the original window stickers, the original service records documenting the miles, Porsche Classic Center verifying every number on the car matches. The wheels date stamp 1972. I mean, this is just an amazing time machine. Just brings you back in time. Drives as flawless and is the best running MFI car I've ever been in. I mean, it just drives fantastic, starts fantastic. Doesn't matter if it's hot or cold, just an amazing, amazing car. I put the CN36 on, Pirellis on it several years ago. Spare tire remains the original Dunlop spare. I'd say it's a safe bet it's never hit the ground. Over the years, the only thing they added to it were the through-the-grill fog lights. Other than that, it is, an as-delivered 72 911T. I mean, the paint isn't, for a car that's literally 50 years old, the paint is amazing. Carpet's original, tire interior's original, dashboard is amazing, steering wheels, it's just everything about it. You can tell this was just a well cared for and taken care of and loved car. This car wouldn't exist today without its fastidious caretakers. You'll see, a few 911, 72 911, 73 911s on the market. You rarely see an all original car. And this car, all original and just spectacular. Drives just spectacular. If you were going to restore a 911 today, it would cost you well over $100,000 to have a proper shop restore a 911. An engine rebuild at this point would be $30,000. This car's original. It's never had the engine rebuilt. It only has 40,000 miles on it. The leak down on the car is spectacular with 2 to 3% on every cylinder. It needs absolutely nothing. And whoever gets this car will no doubt be the proud owner of one of the best original 911s on the market.